That evening, Peter returned to the laboratory. Roborat's behavioral test showed the robot had accepted the brain file of the aggressive rat. The real question was whether the bionet could condition it. The off-protocol part of Peter's research involved reverse transfer of a brain file into a live rat. The bionet brain had a wonderful property. It could find and fix disorder in the brain. It could suppress circuits that put the body at risk. Subtle and minor changes would improve behavior, which he could measure by testing rats before and after the procedure. He'd done this several times on previous evening visits to his laboratory, but this would be the first experiment with the new cot unit. He re-recorded Roborat in full view of the security camera. There was no reason to hide what would appear to be usual activity, and the security guys couldn't tell legitimate from illegitimate. What's more, the videos were only kept for 2 weeks. The recording went well and the robot recovered function without incident. Peter started the program that used powerful algorithms to extract the Harvey components, hopefully slightly modified, from the brain data. This recovered file would go back into the donor rat. For the next procedure, Peter arranged an electronics rack and the data monitor to shield his activity from the camera. He brought Harvey's plastic cage into the laboratory and grabbed the animal firmly with his gloved hand. He brushed off clinging cedar chips and injected relaxant and anesthetic before arranging the subdued rat in the scanning apparatus. He invoked his own subroutine of the COT program, a modification that vastly improved the fidelity of transfer. Slowly, the file taken from Roborat was inserted into Harvey. This was the hard part of the evening visits. The sitting and waiting, fearful a colleague would drop in and ask what he was doing. When the transfer was almost complete, Peter was startled by a knock at the door. He jumped, feeling a spasm grip his heart. The face of a uniformed guard was framed by the door's glass panel. Thankfully, the man required only a wave and a smile to convince him that everything was all right. When he left, Peter trembled. He administered a stimulant to Harvey and tried to relax while Harvey recovered. The wall clock unhurriedly clicked off 30 minutes. Peter rose with nervous excitement and approached the rat's cage. When he peered through the stainless steel grid, Harvey looked up with bared teeth. Perhaps more time was needed for neural integration. He picked up the thick gray handling gloves. When he removed the cage cover, the rat reared, but he didn't lunge. He wasn't friendly, but few laboratory rats were. Peter put his gloved hand in and gently lifted the animal. Harvey squealed and clamped onto the glove, but his heart did not seem to be in the gesture, and he took his mouth away as if the fabric were a foul piece of cheese. Mentally, Peter gave Harvey a moderate score for aggressiveness, although he admitted that the recent exposure to the cot cocktail could account for the improvement. Harvey showed the usual excitement, but he could go through the discrimination test scoring much higher than normal. That result had to be due to the Roborat's influence. Satisfied, Peter made entries in his notebook and removed the altered cot routine from the computer. He returned the laboratory to the usual neat condition favored by Lisa and delivered Harvey to the animal quarters where Lisa would find him in the morning. If she noticed that Harvey's aggressiveness was reduced, he would attribute it to getting used to being handled. Back in his office, he was filled with exhilaration. This was success. A biosynthetic brain had conditioned a mammalian brain to produce useful behavior modifications. He was elated as he locked up the memory stick with the modified cot routine. He came back down to earth when he eyed the pile of resumes on his desk. He had to find a new technician. They needed success with whole brain recording in more rats and in something bigger than a rat in time for the DoD review. He plopped wearily into his chair and prepared to rank the dozen candidates who'd passed his first screen. Not thrilled with any of them, he committed to getting the top ones in for interviews. Personnel had already done a preliminary check to clear these applicants. He had to find the best fit, the one with both skills and a compatible personality. The list had to be in the hands of human resources in the morning. He put a blank yellow pad on his blotter and took the top folder from the stack. The name on the file was unfamiliar. That surprised him, for he'd studied every one of the applications. Could he have missed this one? Or forgotten a name? Reading the file revealed the perfect candidate. Education, job history, and skills were ideal. Almost too good to be true. The file had the authenticating human resources date stamp, but Peter was sure he'd never seen it before.